The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello everyone, my name is Jillian Schaefer and I'm the Marketing Coordinator for SWK Technologies. I'd like to welcome you to our webinar, Top BI Reports and Dashboards for 2021, presented by Joni Girardi of Dataself. A little housekeeping before we get started. Everyone has been placed on mute to keep the background noise down. However, you can submit any questions you have throughout the webinar. To submit a question, look for the questions section in your GoToWebinar. We will answer all questions at the end of the presentation. We are recording this presentation and it will be distributed tomorrow to all attendees as well as to those who registered but were not able to attend. Please take a moment after the presentation to answer our one survey question. With that said, we appreciate you taking time out of your busy day to attend our webinar. We're here to help you get the most out of your software solutions and help you find an easier way to run your business by providing you software and industry knowledge, tools, and support whenever you need it. So whether you're here doing research for a new solution or you're just here to learn, we'd like to encourage you to ask any questions throughout the webinar. Lastly, as a quick reminder, SWK is constantly sharing important updates and software tips and tricks on our social media channels, so we encourage you to follow us on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Without further ado, I'll hand it over to Joni.
Jolene, thanks for the introduction. All right. Can you hear me and can you see my mouse moving?
Yep, to both.
Perfect. Jolene, thanks for the introduction. Hello, everyone. My name again is Joni Girardi. I'm Dataself's founder and CEO. Why I'm leading this webinar? Well, I've been for 20 years, I've been doing analytics and BI for mid-sized companies. So I'm a data geek at the heart. I'm originally from Brazil. I've been in the US for over 20 years. And I'm really passionate about helping mid-sized organizations make more out of their data. One of the clients that I'm super excited to have, SWK, actually uses Dataself internally for their own reporting in BI. They are our clients for about 2 years. And what we put together today for you guys is we have hundreds of organizations using Dataself, and we have seen what these organizations have been using for reports and dashboards, especially for the past couple of years where the world got a little crazy. So we kind of look at the most popular reports and dashboards in our client base, and we kind of looking at them, talk with them. We decided to put together this list of top BI reports and dashboards for 2021. It's not for everyone, but hopefully you'll be educated with some options today and help your company be more data driven. Having said that, let me go to the next slide. My first section of this webinar is talking about going over those reports and dashboards. I'm going to cover 10 of them. I'm also going to be showing how you can also use natural language query to help your decision makers to be more self-sufficient, get information out of your systems. I want to talk about also how people are exporting and distributing reports to different people, some options and some ways to make this more effective. And then I'm going to be talking about, if you don't have some of these reports and dashboards today, or if your process today of distributing information with people is not so effective, how can you take your framework to the next level? Should you do it yourself? Should you guys get some solutions like Dataself? So we'll talk a little bit about that. Then at the end, I'll talk about what Dataself brings to the table in case you guys think this could be a good fit. And finally, we'll open a question and answer section. So these are the 10 reports and dashboards that we have found very popular in our client base. I'm going to be showing each one of them. In some of them, I'm going to spend a little time talking about it. Some of them are going to talk a little bit more about some use cases and how people have been using these reports and dashboards. So let's jump right into it. And I'm going to start with the cash flow analysis. Cash flow is something that pretty much every organization does at some capacity. And typically, the people doing this is the CFO, the controller. very popular. They do this in Excel, export data out of their ERP system, sometimes combine information with their payroll, with some bills they have that are not in the ERP, and they have a visibility into the cash flow. Many organizations is ad hoc, many organizations very structured, but I've seen over and over this process not being very reliable, being time consuming, and sometimes some important, cash flow trends happen and people only notice when it's too late. They miss something big coming in or going out until it's too late. So one of the recommendations I tell companies is try to get your cash flow projection as accurate as possible and as easy as possible to get to the right people. Who are the right people? The CFO, the COO, the CEO, people that must know major cash flow events in your business, and they can act accordingly before you get too close to that event. This is one example of a cash flow that is usually tackles these challenges. It's a way to see your cash flow in a visual format. Many decision makers seeing things on a chart is quick and easy to see major, threats and opportunities. At the same time, give them all the details. Details would be your open AR, your open AP, your recurring transactions. Your bills, your payroll, money coming in, your loans and whatnot. So put everything in a way that decision makers can quickly take a look, and if everything is fine, they go about their things. If they see something unusual, they can quickly find out what happened with their cash flow and then make a decision. For instance, in this example, suppose that the CFO, my cash flow was beautiful yesterday. Today, when I look at my cash flow, I'm seeing, bars going up is money coming in, bars going down is money going out. This is the projection of my cash flow, assuming this happens in the future. And now my cash flow in a certain day goes beyond my line of credit. Wow, yesterday this was not happening. What happened? What happened that changed so much? Give them a tool that they can quickly click on that data point. Like in this case, I chose this major drop in my major increase in my payables. I see the new bills that came in. This example, I realized that this bill here was added to my cash flow, but this bill has not been approved, so it was a mistake. So I can even do a what if scenario as a controller and say exclude that bill, and what happens to my cash flow if that bill is excluded? Well, it goes back to normal. This kind of visibility and interactivity is something that is usually lacking in cash flow projection, and I encourage you guys to try to take it to the next level. Another dashboard, number 2, is receivables. For many business, receivable is not a problem. For many business, it's amazing, but receivable has issues. Sometimes, clients, delay their payments because there are issues, maybe your issues, maybe they're having issues. And sometimes some of these payments gets delayed too much and there's a lot of money and the right people in your organization is not aware. And if they were to be aware, they could act on, sometimes the CEO has to call a client or the account manager to actually unlock those payments to help with the cash flow. Current market conditions are kind of crazy lately for the past year or so. So having a good grasp of your receivables and be on top of it quickly, it's very important. Again, dashboard should allow the decision makers to quickly look at the big picture and quickly drill down into the specifics to see opportunities and threats. Like in this example, if I only want to see, I can see the total AR aging by bucket, by region, by due date being today here. All the colors follow the same standard as the big bars here. So these are the on time receivables, a little late, more late, very late, by salesperson, by customer, and all the details. And if I'm the controller and I look at this dashboard and I see, wow, this customer here has a lot of these late bars. What about it? I can click on this customer and the whole dashboard changes to focus only on the receivable for this person. So again, for people who are really busy, like, upper management, giving the ability to quickly see the big picture, click on a data point and see the details can be critical. And on the receivables, this is highly encouraged. So this is receivables. Sales is an area that a lot of business spend quite a bit of energy trying to improve because it's where most of the money comes from. So let's look at several of the sales reports and dashboards that we have seen very popular in the last year and a half. The first one is a very interesting story we call Daily Flash, but it's not necessarily only for daily. It's actually, the story behind the Daily Flash is we hear over and over in the market that management is kind of flying blind. That once something important happens in the business, something bad or good important happens, it might take days, weeks, and sometimes months for management to be aware of it. And when they get aware of it, sometimes it's too late. They cannot do anything else because it's been for too long. So the Daily Flash, the reported dashboard, is a way to create a snapshot of your metrics that are important for business to be, tracked regularly, daily, weekly. Some of our clients run this every hour. Some of our clients run this, for yesterday or for the last week, depending on their pace of their business. But the idea is to see the big pictures. In this case, I have, sales, cost of sales, gross profit, gross percentage, and then you put widgets showing the main areas of the business. So if you ship products, you probably, you care about ship to location, how the sales is going, salespeople information, customer information, product information, all the details. And then you should use colors to highlight things that are problematic. In this particular Daily Flash, we're having the colors being, if it's black, meaning the gross profit percentage is above the goal. If it's red, meaning it hasn't met that goal. Well, the goal could be something else. Instead of being gross profit, could be sales goals, anything that is important for your business. But then once you have this kind of dashboard and you customize it for your specific needs, it's very easy for a decision maker to see this every day or whatever the time frame, and say, hey, we have some red areas. What about them? Like, this salesperson profitability in this example is 39%. Why is so low? Then you can click on the salesperson, the dashboard to change, to highlight all the details, and I can see that one customer specifically is causing the gross profit issue. And if I choose that customer, it shows me what products are driving that low gross profitability. So again, creating these dashboards that show stories that are current will help decision makers quickly see if they should care and act on those data points. This kind of dashboard, once you build for management, one of the very next questions they will ask is, can you please give me this dashboard automatically in my email in the time that I care, every hour, every day, every week, whatever it is. And then usually just pushing the report to them, don't waiting them to come to the report, just push them is can be very important. So automating the distribution is important. Some decision makers, they don't want to see unless there's a problem or an opportunity that they need to chime in. So you can actually build into these reports thresholds. If something is below a threshold, send a notification to someone. If something is above another threshold, send a notification to someone else. So you can also have this kind of reporting solution that is based on alerts where you only notify when things go, when you have outliers, something out of the normal. So very important, this kind of dashboard for people who care to be on top of things as they happen, not weeks or months ago. Next dashboard that is very popular from a sales standpoint is just looking year over year what's happening. It's been interesting with the pandemic that for many businesses, last year and potentially this year, they are anomalies. So what's going to happen in 2 months, 3 months? Nobody knows, because it's, things can go crazy well, crazy not well, or the same. It's a little crazy, but at least being able to look at the past, sometimes you can have some analogies. I have a couple of clients that actually are, their business are affecting in a similar way than in the crisis of 2008. So they actually go all the way back to 2008 and they see what happened back then. Of course, they make adjustments. That's about more than 10 years ago, but it's been helping him to make some decisions now based on seeing trends that happened in the past, kind of, happening again during this pandemic. So looking at kind of analysis year over year, this example, I'm setting a year for all the months. I see the total this year, the total last year, the variance in dollar and percentage. And then by period, I can see a line showing sales this year, which is the dark blue, and last year is the light blue. You can see ship to, bigger bubbles, bigger sales. Black means it's growing since last year. Red means it's declining since last year. And then by customer and product, last year, this year, and the variance, same thing for product. And this is usually helpful if you have seasonality in your business. Let's say, hey, we are in 2021. So let's pick 2021. And now it's not fair to compare full year versus last year. I only care about the first 3 months and apply only the first 3 months. So now I make a comparison on a year-to-date basis. I can see all those trends. And a very common analysis when you're trying to see changes from year over year is the change since the prior year to date. You can look from a customer standpoint, from a product standpoint. Let's say right now I'm looking at my top customers this year and how they've been changing so far. But what about my top customers last year and how is it changing this year? Well, here, if you're using this kind of dashboard, you could quickly sort by last year. And now you can see that your top customers last year, they are declining. And that can be a trouble, right? If you're not paying attention to it. Usually you know some of these customers, but it's amazing that many times when people see their data in this kind of format, they realize that some customers or some products, people were not aware they were having some issues or it's growing a lot. In giving, again, the ability for management to see the big picture easily, visually, slice and dice it, and also drill down to the details is critical. Like in this example, if I were to choose these 4 customers that have a major decline, when I select the 4 of them, what happens is the whole dashboard will change to only show the total sales for these 4 customers, their churn analysis, where we're shipping, the products, and then, hey, I actually want to see the actual invoices. I want to see the details. You can quickly click like something like show details and goes to those details. So this perspective and allowing them to drill down quickly and easily is something of value for many of our clients. The next dashboard that I want to show is what we call the hot performers. Hot performers is pretty much keeping track of your top performers, could be customers, could be products, could be regions, whatever that you care. Look who are the biggest in a certain period. And also which ones are growing the most. Sometimes you have some small players, but they're growing fast. And they might become the next big one in the next few months or years. So being quickly able to see the top ones and which ones are growing the most will help your management focus most of the energy in where you can get the biggest bang for the buck, the bank for in the short term. So we call hot performers, biggest right now and the ones growing the most in a given time period. What is a time period? We see a lot of clients that they find some very well established time buckets, but quite often when you go to the individuals, to the salespeople, to the managers, they usually want to see a different time period. So allowing people to easily define the periods, the period 1 and period 2, and being flexible, choosing any date period is helpful, and we encourage you building your reports and dashboards to see top performers to have the flexibility. On the opposite of the hot performers, we have the cold or getting cold performers. What about them? Well, this is an interesting perspective. Quite often, salespeople are the ones driving the business. And salespeople, they usually go for the low-hanging fruit, where they can get the biggest next sale. And they call people, they email people, and the people that call back and engage, hey, they run and they close sales. But what happens with the clients that are not answering the calls, not replying to the emails? It's interesting, but many times it might take several cycles until a salesperson realizes, why is this customer no longer calling me back? Is there something wrong? And usually there's something wrong. I mean, if they're no longer buying as before, what happens? Can you do something about it? Well, the answer to this question is usually get to know what's happening, why they're declining, why they're no longer buying, and hopefully if there's something you can fix it, you can fix in a timely fashion. So this getting cold dashboard has two different perspectives. One is which clients are declining the most from period 1 to period 2, so the biggest decline. And the second perspective is which ones were buying last period, but not at all this period. So these are two ways to quickly get that perspective. All of these dashboards that we're covering here, they are usually inspirational. When you show management, would you like to see this? Oh my God, yes, but there's almost always a but. The but is we need to slice it a little differently. We need another filter. I don't care about products, I care about customers. And then the idea is once you get them inspired, to get them thinking about the KPIs, you can tweak the system to be sure you're giving these decision makers exactly the perspective that they are interested in. All right, the next dashboard that is important for some businesses, but for those businesses, it can be very critical. So this is not for everyone. A Pareto kind of report. What is a Pareto kind of report? This is an example where we have products. It could be anything else, could be customer, region, salespeople, whatever it is. But then you're sorting these products by gross profit in a descending order. So the dark blue are my top, represent 80% of my gross profit, and the ones in light blue represent not so much profit, the bottom 20%. And the question here is why, some of them you have so much sales and profitability is so low. Like in this example, there's this particular product here, there's a lot of sales in whatever time frame you selected, but profitability is really low. And is that okay? Sometimes it's okay. Like, if you're in a grocery store and you sell milk, among other things, well, milk, you don't make a lot of money, but people come to buy milk and they buy beer, they buy a bunch of things that make a lot of money. So yeah, sometimes it's okay to be that way. But it's amazing when we have seen clients that they look at this kind of dashboard for the first time, and they look at customers, like now if you choose customer here, right? Now this dashboard is the same perspective, but you had your customers descending, by gross profit, and then you see the sales. And it's amazing sometimes, why this client is so unprofitable. Or why is this client so profitable? Can we make the same thing with the others? These are the kind of questions that can drive your management to think harder about your businesses, your processes, your clients, and try to maximize your efficiency. So this dashboard, when applied properly to some businesses, is very enlightening. The next one is even more limited usage. There are a smaller number of clients who can benefit from the whale curve report. But those who can benefit, and if they're not looking at this dashboard, it's amazing the power of it. Let me tell the story behind this whale curve dashboard. The idea is you sell to your clients or you sell products. And for each one of these, clients or products, you have a certain number of transactions, invoices. And in the course of a period, a quarter or a year, you have some of them that you have a lot of transactions, and some of them you have little transactions, a few transactions. And then you look at, the profitability for each one of these, entities. And then the idea is, if you were to take your whole cost of doing business, let's say in a year, my business, I spend $50 million to run my business. And then you take this cost and you divide by the number of transactions you did, invoices, whatever you count as a transaction. Your invoices is a very common way to look at your transactions. How many sales I performed, and let's divide the total cost by transaction. That's my average cost per transaction. Now, you take your profitability and you divide your net profitability in the year and you divide by number of transactions. So now you know for every invoice, what should be your profitability on average. And when you look at this perspective, put all the numbers together, you can see that some clients, on the left here, they have a lot of sales and they have a certain number of transactions, the bubbles are number of transactions. And if you look, they actually add into your bottom line, they're increasing your profitability. But at a certain point, when the number of transactions go up and your sales goes down in a certain level, actually these clients start to decrease your profitability, your max profitability until your net profitability. And the question is, usually on the tip of the curve, how can you maximize this? Why these customers are driving your profitability low? Do you want to keep those customers? Do you want to fire some of the customers? Or can you do something about these customers to push more to the left so they are more profitable? So the whale curve is a more sophisticated way to look at the number of transactions, sales, and profitability to figure out which ones are adding profitability and which ones are decreasing profitability and what to do about the ones on the far right. It's an amazing, empowering concept, very popular with like convenience stores. Actually, this dashboard came originally from a convenience store business. They were shipping products, for a lot of convenience stores. And they realized that some of them, they would order every day, small bites, right? And some of the convenience stores would only order once a week, bigger bites. And they realized the profitability because every time they have to get the truck to deliver, it's a lot of cost. So by seeing this perspective, they realized many clients were driving their profitability low, and they tried to consolidate those orders in not every day, in trying to educate the client how to consolidate orders, and they managed to increase significantly the business profitability because they just learned the problem, they were able to work with many clients, and overall everyone was happy. So interesting perspective. Two more dashboards that I'm going to cover. The next one is about predictive analytics. And predictive analytics, it's an area that, pretty much when I talk about people say, no, yeah, I want predictive analytics. I want the computer to tell me what to do. And especially for the last year and a half with this whole pandemic, predictive analytics, it's an area where you have to be very careful because things are changing so much for the good or for the bad, whatever the direction is going, that you should not outsource your decision making to computers alone. You should absolutely leverage these tools that use natural language and artificial intelligence, machine learning to give you models of predicting the future, but absolutely use your networking, your intelligence to revise those models to see the conditions that are going to affect your business. There's a lot of change in the government, a lot of change with the regulations, social distancing. Those things, usually computers will not incorporate their models, so you can look at the model that the computer can look based on your past data and make projections, and then use your human intelligence to make adjustments and come up with the predictive analytics. It is amazing how much intelligence is out there in BI, in reporting tools to help with predictive analytics. At the same time, especially until we get out of this current situation, these models should be closely monitored because the world is changing too much too fast, and you have to keep humans, closely monitoring these trends. The last one I want to show is actually a fairly simple story, but sometimes challenging to implement, but if it applies to your business, it can be very empowering. The idea here is there's usually several touch points of your clients with your business. You know, people are buying from you, they are creating quotes from you, they have orders, they have sales, they have receivables, they are going to your website, they are consuming the emails marketing that you're sending, they are consuming your social media. All of these touch points of a client give you a whole perspective of how these clients are doing business with you. And quite often these touch points, they are hitting different digital systems in your company. You know, the ERP has the actual transactions. Maybe you have a CRM system where you have the open opportunities and the quotes. You probably have your Google Analytics data that has people visiting your website. And then you're probably using a different tool to do your email marketing campaigns. And then you have the social media. They're all different data silos. How can you see your several touch points of your clients together? It's challenging, yes, but it's possible, absolutely. And what I'm going to show you here is an example for one of our clients where we combined 3 different data sources into this dashboard and show you how it works. We combined your ERP data that shows actual sales, sales order, receivables, with their CRM, so showing open opportunities, showing emails and calls and whatnot, all in the CRM system, and also a marketing system that monitors people opening your marketing emails. So we combine all the data, and then when the client comes to this dashboard, and this view is for the upper management, is not for individual salesperson. Salespeople have a slightly different view, but upper management, they open this dashboard frequently. They see their accounts sorted in a descending order by open opportunities. So these are, what's in the pipeline to be closed in the next 30 days. And then they have, for every account, what these companies have been clicking in your marketing emails recently. So there's a number of clicks in your marketing emails, which ones are consuming and reading your materials when you send emails. The next column is, are your salespeople calling these people, contacting these people in the last 7 days? Some companies, they have, hey, my salespeople need to contact my clients every 14 days, every month, every 7 days, whatever the period is. So this is a way to see, are there interactions of my salespeople with my clients? Then, you want to see late open sales orders. If there's something late, the client is usually not happy because it's late. You might want to see the total sales in the current year. You want to see, is this client owe me some money and is it late? This kind of information, upper management usually cares. When they look at this kind of report, they see different colors, meaning, if it's brown, salespeople are not calling these people in the last 7 days. What the heck, why they're not calling? If it's red, hey, it's a problem with your business. You might have late sales orders and maybe late receivables. Should you care about these clients and act on them? And so this gives a big perspective of all of these touch points. But typically, people, again, they want to see the details. What happened? Let's say, if I look at this customer, it's a black customer, meaning things look good. And if I click on it, what happens is now we bring these pop-ups showing you the details. So these are the opportunities open, 125,000 in open opportunities. I can see the products and this opportunity stage. I can see for every person in that particular business, Southwest Food, for every person, what they have been consuming in my marketing email. So I can see, oh, wow, they're looking at some new product. Let's be sure that we're calling them to talk about the new product. I can see what my salespeople have been doing. Oh, they have called this particular, account, send an email or whatever. I can see my sales and I can see the receivables, everything at a click of the button. So this is usually helpful when you're having your sales meeting where you have management and salespeople. You look at these things, you see some trouble points, and you ask the account managers. They're going to give the story. You can double check the facts here and be more proactive, helping the sales be more fulfilling. All right. That was an overview of the major KPIs we recommend for 2021. Let's move on to the next slide. Let's talk a little bit about natural language query, which is usually a great complement to major reports and dashboards. You know, everything that I showed you is usually something that you, the consultant, the IT person, the business analyst will get those reports and dashboards and build them and make them available to your decision makers. And they're there, they can be tweaked, but they are fairly static in a way. What about when decision makers have questions about their business and they don't have a report or dashboard ready to answer? And that happens a lot lately. You know, people have questions and they need answers, and if you don't have the answer right away, they'll have to wing it and make a decision without information, or they have to wait until they get the answer. Natural language query is this amazing technology that leverages machine learning and artificial intelligence to address many of those questions. Let me show an example here. We'll go now to the natural language query framework. And the idea is, right now, I'm looking natural language query from a sales standpoint, but overall, natural language query can hit any of your data sources. It can be your ERP system, your CRM, anything that you have as a company database, you can use natural language to query. So now I'm looking at the sales side, and suppose I'm the VP of sales and I want to see sales by salesperson last year. Well, you should have this report ready, but suppose the person is just going through a mental flow and they want to see this thing right now built from scratch. So I'm going to say sales by salesperson in 2020. So I just write the question. Natural language is like, you know, when you search in Google or Bing, it will try to interpret what you wrote. It will give you hits. In this case, it gave me 2 hits. You have to choose which one is the right hit, and then you choose the right one. And when you click, the tool will build an instant, accurate answer to that question. You have to articulate the question correctly. The tool has to understand, give you the right options. When you choose them, you get the answer. Like in this case, I see salespeople, sales in 2020 in a descending order. And then, hey, I want to see this by month. You type in by month. The tool again will interpret your question, give you hits. You select the right one. And now by salesperson, it gave me a line chart showing sales by month in 2020. So natural language query is building reports and dashboards from scratch, just using natural language. This kind of tool technology nowadays is available in many different platforms. Typically, you can build a framework around it that you can guarantee or help people ask the right questions and see the answers correctly. It's still a young technology. It's about 5-year-ish old, so it's not perfect. You got to be careful as you start until you get people to know how to ask questions, like in Google. If you don't know how to ask Google a question, you're not going to find the answer. It's the same thing here. But if you onboard people properly with natural language, it's amazing how much power you give decision makers to be more self-sufficient. And even today, there's a lot of things you can do. Like, you know, suppose you got this report and you actually don't want to see a chart. You want to see a grid report like in Excel. Sure, typically you can just choose a way to export the data into a grid format, and maybe you want to even send to Excel. These tools, typically you can, you know, select data points, and then you tell the tool to show the data in a tabular format where you can see all the data. You want to see, like, you know, the underlying records you download, and now the report goes into an Excel format, and now you can just look at the data in Excel and do further manipulation in case you want to. So natural language query, amazingly empowering, already available in many different tools out there, and I highly encourage you to test it. Again, be careful, because until people know how to articulate the questions, they might get it wrong. So it's usually, you have to start slow. You got to start with a very simple model and get people to use it. As it works or not, you decide what to go next. We have many clients of ours that do not use natural language, but a small number, they found a way to get it very effective, and it's amazingly empowering. All right, so it's a great complement to reports and dashboards, the natural language framework. Exporting and distributing reports and dashboards is another major challenge in many organizations. We have many clients that they were spending a ton of hours of people building reports, refreshing reports, validating reports, emailing reports, was usually using Excel or Crystal, things like that. And sometimes it was error prone. You know, every time that you rely on people to do the job, the odds of someone sending the report to the wrong person and getting, you know, data privacy issues, or, you know, people being pissed or learning something they didn't know is critical. So we highly encourage you that you use a system to distribute the reports automatically without human intervention. Once the person who knows the security sets up the system properly, the system should do it automatically without the human. And if you have a reporting platform that has the right security settings, you can even give the power to users. So users can actually select out of their available reports what they want to receive the reports by themselves. So they don't even have to call the IT person, hey, can you please send me the report every week? No, they just do it by themselves. Let me show an example in this framework. So suppose, you know, I'm looking, let me actually take the daily flash report, which is a, let me just reload this page here. Well, the idea is when you access any report, the ability to give your users a button on the UI where you click, and then you can auto subscribe to that report and dashboard. You tell who should receive, you know, it's going to be myself, my coworker, my team. You tell how often you want to send this report to these people, and do you only want to send this report, or do you also want to send a workbook, like maybe a financial workbook at the end of the month? Somehow my internet seems to be slow now. So moving along. So what I covered so far, maybe some of you are going to say, you know, wow, I mean, this is amazing, but my system doesn't provide me this functionality. This would be a lot of work. How do I go about it? Well, there are two main ways to take your reports and dashboards to the next level. One is do it by yourself. If you're going to be taking your current framework and take it to the next level, pretty much you'll need people that know what they're doing, you know systems like, you know, your ERP, your CRM, your payroll, whatever it is, people that knows your systems, people that know reporting tools, and they will be choosing, hey, you know, is your current framework will provide you to do this, maybe your Excel, your Crystal. Do you need to complement with another tool? So you'll need to also revise if your reporting platform will enable your team to get the job done. And then, you know, with the right people, with the right tools, over time, everything that I showed today here can be done and can be customized to take you guys to the next level. So it's absolutely do it yourself, an approach that many organizations do. And if you have the right people and the right tools with the right time, you get it done. Alternatively, there are many products out there that you can subscribe or you can buy and can get you started much more quickly. So typically, if you outsource at least the beginning of this process to a company that already has this covered, typically much more easily and much faster you can start to see some results. Part of this journey is even what questions to ask, what dashboards to show. Should we show something to get started in what's going to be the next question? So usually subscribing from vendors can get you covered quickly, get the conversation going. And I always tell people, when you're subscribing from a vendor, always check what would be the long-term transition in case you decide to do it yourself. Hey, you know, right now I want to get it quickly, some value, so I can discuss with my people, get their fluids, you know, rolling, understanding the challenges, and eventually, you know, maybe I want to transition out of paying a subscription. I want to, you know, own it and pay less to third parties because now we have in-house expertise. So always check also, in case you decide in the future for do it yourself, how could you transition it out? So we highly encourage this perspective when you're getting from someone else. So this kind of, the educational side of this presentation, what I'm going to talk about the next 5 minutes is pretty much Dataself in what we bring to the table. Everything that I showed you today, I was using Dataself framework as a way to talk about the concepts. What is Dataself Analytics? Well, Dataself Analytics is a platform that includes data warehousing, analytics, and pre-configured reports and dashboards. Pretty much what we do is we have a system that will extract your data, your Sage, your ERP data, your CRM data, anything that you want, ERP, payroll, Google Analytics, e-commerce, whatever you have, brings the data to a data warehouse so we can clean it, we can organize it, we can make it faster, we can bring data together. Any data silo can be consolidated in the data warehouse to be a single version of the truth. A lot of the reporting tasks that people do in Excel and Crystal and GIs and whatnot that are cumbersome to maintain can be much more effectively developed and coded in a data warehouse. And once you do it, it's completely done automatically. Computers will do it, refresh it, calculate it, so you don't have to worry about people in the middle of the process. Then with data warehouse, Dataself, we use analytics tools like Tableau, Power BI, and Excel to render the data easily, to leverage a lot of the BI features out there, machine learning, artificial intelligence. There's a lot of things built into these tools, so you don't have to sift through which tools do the job. Will they work with my ERP? All of these things already consolidated in Dataself. And finally, we've been doing this for 15 years now. And in 15 years, we have built an extensive library of reports and dashboards. If you go with our full-blown solution, there's more than 5,000 reports and dashboards available out of the box. Today, I show you 10, but we have more than 5,000 total that cover a broad range of reporting needs. So that's what we bring to the table. Now, they might look complex. Oh my God, all of these pieces. Do I need it? How much going to cost me? Well, so let's talk about that. We have two main solutions. The entry level is called Advanced Analytics. It takes about 30 minutes to deploy, and the price starts at $299 per month. The majority of the things I showed you today are available in the Advanced Analytics. So to get the benefit of a lot of things that I showed you and can be easily customizable, yes, Advanced Analytics can do that inexpensively and very quickly. So when I mentioned to you, should you start from scratch, do it yourself? Yes, good luck, right? Or maybe you should just give it a shot. Start with Dataself, see what happens, and if it works for you, it's not going to cost you a lot of money. So it's usually a good way to start. We also have what we call the Enterprise Analytics, which is a much more robust, more comprehensive package. It takes about 30 days to deploy the whole package, and the pricing starts at about $2,000 per month. Now, many people say, well, oh my God, actually the Advanced Analytics is just a teaser, has no value. I'll have to put 2,000, too much, I don't want it. Actually, not true. We rolled out Advanced Analytics about 2 years ago, almost. And since then, about 70% of our new clients, they are only using Advanced Analytics. So there's a lot of our clients only using Advanced Analytics, little money, fast deployment, and there's a lot of value in it. Like I mentioned, everything that I showed today, most of the things that I showed today are covered by Advanced Analytics, and it provides easy ways to customize it. Having said that, I'm going to start with the Q&A session. So Jolene, if you want to take over this part.
Thank you so much, Johnny. We'll now open it up for questions. If you have any questions, please enter them into the questions section of your GoToWebinar. And just a reminder, everyone, we do have a subject matter expert here. This is a great opportunity to have your questions answered in real time. And it does look like we had a few come in during the presentation. The first being, how does training work with Dataself?
Good question. Training. So we have 3 layers of training with Dataself, or levels of training. We have a small number of clients that are not overly sophisticated, or they are very self-sufficient, that they pretty much deploy the out of the box. There's a lot of self-service training materials on the website, on the internet, and they just run with it. So there's a small number of clients that need no training because the solution is easy to deploy, is easy to customize, and again, there's a lot of self-service training materials on the internet. Most of our clients, they get at least 8 hours of training to learn how they can build their own reports and dashboards. So the skill set, the majority of the skill set required to be fairly self-sufficient, customizing reports and dashboards takes about 8 hours of training. The third level is some other clients, they have complex needs that, and they might want to be way more self-sufficient and learn data warehousing and learn, all the bells and whistles. For those clients, typically, we recommend 24 hours of training to get, the majority of the framework covered back and front end. And then we can provide more custom work as needed. So those 3 levels: smaller clients, no training, on average 8-hour, bigger, more sophisticated clients is usually 24+ hours of training.
And we have another. My company is in the construction industry and many of these dashboards don't apply to us. Do you have reports for my vertical?
Right. So this is something I looks like I forgot at the beginning of the webinar, but a lot of the reports and dashboards we covered today, they were around, cash flow projection, receivables, and sales. And the sales model that I followed here is mostly revolving around sales of products, which is usually distribution manufacturing companies. So for your case specifically, in Dataself website, if you go to dataself.com, and you go to industries, we do have one for construction. And if you go to this page here, you're going to find many reports and dashboards available for construction companies. And I would encourage you to take a look at those and see if you get some inspiration. I also would encourage you to, if any of you have heard something today that was intriguing, that might apply to your business, but not exactly, later, you'll see my contact information, and then feel free to contact us. We're here to help. We're here to educate first and foremost. And if we can help you in any capacity, and if you think that Dataself is a good fit, we are a bunch of data geeks excited to work with our clients. So feel free to pull our resources to see if we are a good fit, or if you can get additional inspiration from us.
Great. And we have one more that's come through. Does Dataself work with Sage X3?
So back to my website again, dataself.com. These are the products that we come pre-configured out of the box. So yes, Sage X3 is one of them. Everything that I showed you today for many of these products is available pretty much on day one. Some of the systems, if you have them, it might take more time to set up. But yes, Sage X3 is one of them that we have covered out of the box.
Wonderful. And that looks like all the questions we have. So give me one moment as I take back screen control. Perfect. Thank you so much, Joni, for your informative presentation and for taking the time to be here today. For more information on Dataself, check out our website at swktech.com and select Dataself under the Business Intelligence section in the Products tab. Thank you everyone for attending our webinar. Have a wonderful rest of your day.